in that old curiosity shop.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me in the thrift shops again. I love a label. Hazelware Early American Press Cut Crystal. Hazelware. Now, that's the name that was used after the Continental Can Company acquired Hazel Atlas. And they continued for a few years producing glass called Hazelware. And that's, the late 50s to early 60s. The pressed glass tumblers there, a couple of them were early. Nothing really matched. I didn't have any matching. Well, I think two of them might have matched, but decided that wasn't something I needed to buy. And I learned something new because I didn't know Hazel called press cut the same way Anchor Hocking had a press, Prescut, they called it, cut glass, which is not early American cut glass from 1880s, 90s, 1900, but rather 1960s. That's kind of neat for $4. And that's plastic, that little, I guess it was supposed to be a Hummel. No, something like that. Yeah, so here I am. Cranberry glass, $6, so it would be $3 per. So they were blown. Was one of them crackle and one not? I'm trying to get a good look at this. I put it in the cart, but I have a feeling I wasn't able to keep it. I think I'm going to talk to you about it when we get out in the car, out in the truck. Some 60s milk glass. Oh, aha, ahee. This is a winner. Oh, yes. $4. I think I'll talk more about that when we get out into the truck as well. A good old fiberglass lampshade. And whoever did the painting on there, they did a good job. That shade was in great condition. Oh, that has to go in the cart. It's so hard to find old shades in good shape. So, I had to buy that. Alright, now, moving along here. That was cute. Little sewing machine thing. And, no, I think I was hoping that was like a celluloid picture frame, and it wasn't. That shade way down there was not old either. And a little old sugar bowl. Orphaned, probably. I didn't see the creamer to go with it. There's iris in clear, which is how it was originally manufactured without the marigold, without the carnival color on it. Okay, there's old Mildred. And looking under to make sure that it's not marked. I have never found a piece of Mildred that's actually marked. And that's Mount Clemens. Is that right? A pattern that came out in the late 20s and was sold at Woolworths, among other stores. It was very popular. Poker chips. And now I think we're going to stumble back into the 1980s. Well, that was a lot of fun. I had to put the cranberry glass vases back because upon scrutiny, one of them had a big old crack in it. Put those back on the shelf. In the past, I've taken that up and shown the managers and things, and sometimes they just put it back on the shelves, and other times they say, okay, thank you, but I couldn't find anybody today, so I just put it back on the shelf. I did buy this beautiful Bohemian vase. Could be Mosier. I have a feeling that it is. And so Czechoslovakian. Bohemian, the area that became part of Czechoslovakia after the First World War, right? So 1918. So the Czech Republic today, but often still referred to as Bohemian glass. And the sunlight, which it's raining today, so there's not a lot of sunlight, but look, this is all hand painted. Heavy, thick, beautiful glass, and it is a vase. Isn't that a sweet thing? Very heavy, very pretty, and it reminds you a lot of the Mosier vase, that the great big one that's on the back of my china closet presently. Very good chance that there were two of these. They often would, a small something piece like this, there would usually be two of for your mantle or a buffet or whatnot, but I just couldn't resist the one. This is probably the super fantastic find of the day, because you guys know lampshades don't survive. This one is at least as old as I am, and probably dates back to somewhere between 1955 to 1965. When we look at a shade like this, we can see that, and I'm going to talk, I've had questions about antique lighting and how to use shades and what shades are proper to use or not. And I promise you I'm going to do that. But when we see these little indentations here on a shade like this, we know that this could be set down on top of a white milk glass diffuser. And you'll often see those diffusers used alone. This is what they look like. And you'll see them used alone like that without a lampshade on top. And they were not designed to be used naked. You're not supposed to see that with the naked eye. But anyway, or your bespectacled eyes. But this would fit down, and these little grooves here keep the shade in place. But also, this is threaded here so that this may be threaded onto a light socket and used on one of those bridge lamps, so that it can hang out, cantilever out as a bridge lamp. It's all hand painted. That's not my style, but it'll be somebody's. The shade is in really good condition, and it's one of those fiberglass shades. And that was a great find. $3.99. And then finally, I bought a Bago glass. And it always makes me nervous when they throw all this glass in these bags like this. But I did unwrap it and go through them carefully in the store. I'm just going to pull one out to show you now. And so I have 8 of these. They need to be washed. And I don't know, but whether you're picking up, there's a little bit of an iridescence to this. And I'll let everybody out there argue over the color. On my end, and through these eyeballs, it is it's a bluish grayish color, but it's got an iridescence on it, almost like a luster. It's very hard to pick up out here in this light. I don't know if that's not helping any. So the bowl has that color to it while the base is clear. Unmarked, didn't expect them to be. They're small, cordials, I guess, little tiny wines. Hard to say when these were made. Could have been anywhere from the 1930s into the 50s. I don't know that they're making anything like this today, especially in large sets like this, because most people today, that's not a wine glass. I mean, this would just be teasing you. But people sipped on smaller, glassware was a lot smaller in the olden days, even when we go back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So that's probably what this is. Okay, I'm going to be pairing it with a cocktail shaker or seeing how I think it's very sophisticated. I like the color. I think it would go well with maybe chrome and cobalt blue. I can see this with a sort of an Art Deco table setting. Yeah, very modern. So I was excited to find those. I hadn't seen them before. We'll get them home and clean them up. And I think there are 9 of them in that bag, which means one of them can be chipped and we'll have a set of 8. See how I think? Or you get a set of 8 and you get a 9th one just in case. I'm not going to blame it on Uncle Henry this time. We'll say that Aunt Mildred might break one and we have an extra. Let's head to the next thrift shop. 1 down and 3 to go. Okay, some Victorian parlor furniture, which they originally had $500 on. I think it's finally been marked down to maybe $300. And it's probably still going to be a tough sell. Not a lot of people into that anymore. I love it. You love it. And we all love some Porcelier. And boy, oh boy, you don't even have to turn it upside down. There's a quality to the glaze, to the molds. There's a heaviness to it. It's good stuff. Made in Pennsylvania, if I remember correctly. That's another piece I've never seen. A little mini teapot or coffee pot. Little thing, little individual size. Yeah. So I'll look that up when I have an opportunity, and I'll be able to find out a little bit more about it in the Porcelier book that I've got at home. Yeah, I was interested in the Noritake bowl underneath, but not the 2 that are taped together there. So I put those back on the shelf. I forget where I am. I'm somewhere in Jersey. Oh, yes I am. Yes I am. Now, that thing, well, let me just say, there were some lampshades, deco lampshades, made in the 20s that would go on little, like Frank Art lamps. That's not what that is. I kind of had, the color is wrong, and it's actually flashed on. I studied it for quite a while. It's actually some type of a vase, and I left it there. But I did need to study it. It had me puzzled for a little bit because of the way well, you see me put it in the cart, but I did eventually put it back. And in a minute, we're going to find a great big pink thing. I think I've already shown you. That thing looked kind of Scandinavian. Maybe. I don't know what they are. Alright, let's turn the corner. And here's this great big pink glass vase. You're going to see it in just a second. There it is. Okay. See. All right. Stop fiddling with that. Put that thing down. The pink vase on the right. Oh, it caught my eye, and I was stumped at first, but I have a pretty good idea now. So I know I'm going to go sit in the truck and talk about it. And we looked at this in a live sale a couple nights ago, but let's go sit in the truck and take a closer look at that pink vase. Talk about it a little bit, shall we? Let's do that. Okay, 2 stores down and 2 to go. I bought 2 things while I was in that store. The first one I'll show you. You know, once you've handled 2 or 3 pieces of Porcelier, whether it's marked or not, you won't mistake it ever again. Now, I've never seen this tiny little individual coffee or teapot here, and we know it's not a creamer. Little tiny thing, and there's Porcelier on the bottom. So this will go to the date to the 40s, and I'll be able to look this up in my Porcelier book, which I've got at home. And there are plenty of Porcelier collectors out there. And yes, I'm on my way to the U.S. Post Office to get rid of those. Now, this. Oh, I didn't buy that flashed on thing that was sort of a bluish color. That, no, but I did buy this. Now, before you say anything, well, you can go ahead and say something. I looked at this and looked at this and looked at this, and I said, it's either from 1935 or 1985. Is this some big 1980s pink glass vase? It could be. And if it is, I paid $8 for it. And if I made a mistake, then I'll learn and I'll go sell it at a flea market for $10. But there's something about it that makes me think that it might be something from the 30s. I've never seen one quite this large. But I studied it and studied it. It is made in a 2-part mold, this piece of glass. I looked at a couple of things. I looked at the condition of the glass, and I see little air bubbles in there. I see little imperfections that you would see in the 1930s in cheaper glass. Now, I'm not talking about Lalique or high-end French glass. I looked at the bottom and I looked to see if there was wear here, which you would expect to see, and I do see that wear. Now, as I've said before, it can be faked. And I knew somebody years ago in another state who would take new glass, go out to the asphalt, and twist it on the street to get scratch marks on the bottom of it. But I studied this, and the scratches on the bottom appear to be from age. The other thing that I really studied is the way the flowers are embossed. There is a particular stylized, once you've studied the 30s long enough and the Art Deco era, things are stylized in a certain way. Now, if this is from the 80s, they stylized these flowers the way it was done in the Deco era, in the Depression era. I can't explain it. I'm not an art major, but just look at it. Right? It's not an exact representation of the flowers. And I don't know what else to say. Maybe you guys are more articulate with your words than I am, and I'm sure that you must be. But there is a je ne sais quoi to the way these flowers are cut on this vase that gives me that 30s feel. Well, folks, let's cut to the chase. I am 99% sure now that it's a 1930s piece of glass, and I'll give you my opinion. Couldn't really find a whole lot on the internet, but let me show you 2 examples. And some subscribers helped me out with this because we were talking about this the other night. Here's an example of the piece, identical to the one that I have, that's listed as a French Art Nouveau glass vase 1920. I'll quibble with that a little bit. I would not think that it would be French glass because it's low quality, and French Deco and Nouveau were expensive items, luxury goods, and I've been able to study this vase very, very closely, and it's pretty low quality, sort of run-of-the-mill Depression glass. And I'm leaning towards more closer to 1930 on the vase. And I also don't think that it is a piece made in France. Now here's a continuation of this particular person's description. And once again, we don't know, anything about the person selling this piece or where they got their information from. This is just how one person is describing it. Large, red, pink, French pressed glass Art Nouveau vase with floral decoration, circa 1920. Okay, so I gave you my thoughts on it. I think they're close, but maybe not quite. Let's take a look at another listing here in just a moment. And now here we see the same example, yet it's frosted. And I like the way this person describes the piece because they say sort of, in the style of. And that's perfectly fine to say when you're not really sure. So they're saying in the style of Lalique, nowhere it's near that quality, but sort of the way the flowers are stylized. And then they go on. You can read the description. Now, I've handled some of that Josef, oh gosh, now I can't remember the last name, but it's either Bohemian or Czechoslovakian or Polish glass, I can't remember. and it does give you that feel. So I think the piece, I'm not sure whether it's American or European, but it's definitely not high quality French. It's not Lalique. There are air bubbles in it. Can see mold lines, but based upon the way those flowers are styled, I'm totally convinced now that we're not talking about the 1980s. We're definitely back in the 30s, and I just love the thing. It's 12 inches tall, and right now it's sitting on my dining room table. So I think it might be a keeper. Thanks for your help, everyone. What are your thoughts? But I might have a really nice example of an inexpensive glass vase from the Depression era, maker unknown, and I guess we'll learn together, all right? I shall now hand sanitize and take you to the next two shops.
I can't give you anything but love, baby. That's the only thing I'm plenty of, baby. Dream a while, scheme a while, we're sure to find happiness. And I guess all those things you'll always find. For gee, I'd like to see you looking swell, baby. Diamond bracelets will worth dozens sell, baby. Till that lucky day, you know darn well, baby, I can't give you anything but love.
Well, not much footage in the stores today. I have to agree with that. I really wasn't planning on filming. This was just a quick trip to 4 of my local thrift shops. But there was a disturbance in store number 3. And have I got a tale to tell? No, I'm fine. It didn't involve me. But, ooh, I want to talk about it. And this might have to be done in a live because I want to interact with you while I'm telling you what happened, but I will tell you a little bit so that you're not totally on the edge of your seats. There was a disturbance when the fresh carts were wheeled out. That was one of those particular stores where there are, how do I say this? Some people hang out in the store all day long. And they stand at the back door when the fresh carts come out. They stop the people and they cherry pick. Well, anyway, you can probably guess what happened. That's all I'm going to tell you, but this will be a discussion for another time. However, I did find two things in that store. Number one, a Anchor Hocking jadeite lotus leaf plate. Now, sometimes they're made of vitrock and they're fired on. Pink, green, blue, and yellow, right? But the base is white. This is actually their jadeite glass, the same glass that they used to make their mugs and their other jadeite pieces. Now, of course, what's missing is the little lotus bowl. I never find the little lotus bowls. I always find the underpants. But I have to. I just have to get it. So there was only one. What are you going to do? You take what you can get. But look at this. I did very well here. We all know what these are. Green depression glass. Yes, it will glow under a black light. And yes, it has the Farber Brothers chrome on the outside. A lot of times Cambridge supplied the glass to Farber Brothers, and then they would put these chrome pieces on in their store or in their factory. Candy dish, nut dish, depression era. You can see it needs to be cleaned. Good condition. I like this little one. Sometimes they're divided in 3 parts, but that's a cute little one. I might have to keep that one, but there I go saying that, and you know what that means. It's probably going to be, I'm probably going to end up selling it. And then in this last store where I did film, a little bit of Pink Pink You Stink depression glass. No chips on this. And I hope I can clean this. I hope I can clean it. So we'll just let you see that very quickly, and we'll look at that again some other time. But you also saw me pick up, well, okay, a McCoy vase. And there is just, I can see now, just literally the size of the head of a pin. Now that's a flea bite. Any bigger than that, and it's a chip. That's kind of my definition of flea bite, the size of a head of a pin. I mean, some people say flea bite, and my goodness, the fleas where they live must be as big as house flies. So you're not even going to be able to see it. Well, maybe you can. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Let's see, right there. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Just tiny, tiny. But look at the little, I guess it's a dogwood pattern. And we can just barely see in fact, I didn't even have to pick this off, but let's go ahead and pick it off anyway. Yeah, I paid $7.50 for it. Probably something from the 50s. And there we'll see we knew McCoy was hiding under there. It's in wonderful condition and just in time for Easter. That's a nice mid-century color. So all in all, I think I did very well today for a quick trip to 3 local thrift stores. As you know, I like to purchase things from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and I'll go back into the Victorian, Edwardian, and Victorian era when I can. And I want to thank you for shopping with me. Let me know in the comment section below, what did you like, what did you not like? And are you on the edge of your seat for me to tell you about what happened in that store? I'll tell you. In the meantime, I'll be back again at some point to let you know when all of this stuff is available. It will either be in a live sale or in the eBay store, and I'll be sure to let you know. So make sure you are a subscriber and you click the bell so you don't miss anything on the Old Curiosity Shop. Thanks for spending part of a rainy Monday with me. And now I'm off. You guys have a good time with whatever it is you're doing. Don't you forget to wait for the cat. So long for now.